Hey, hey, English learners! Welcome back to the English Leap podcast, your cozy place to learn easy English through real-life conversations and slowly level up your life at the same time. I'm Anna.
And I'm Jake. And today we are starting with a question that looks innocent, but can turn into a full debate in seconds.
Yes, because today's question is simple, very simple.
Dangerously simple.
Would you rather take a solo trip or a family trip?
So basically peace and freedom or noise and emotional damage.
Jake!
What? I said emotional damage with love.
Yes, because nothing says relaxing holiday like 6 people, 4 suitcases, 1 wrong turn, and somebody saying, "This is not the road I told you to take."
Exactly. A solo trip says, "I'm free." A family trip says, "Where is the charger?"
And who packed the snacks?
And why are we stopping again?
And I told you we should have left earlier.
Every family trip has at least one travel manager.
Yes, the person who suddenly becomes very powerful at the airport.
Passport, bag, water, move!
Exactly.
But to be fair, solo trips have their own drama too.
Oh, yes.
Solo travel starts with confidence, very cool energy, very independent, very I follow my heart.
And then 1 hour later, you're standing in front of the wrong platform with low phone battery, pretending not to panic.
Yes, freedom is beautiful until Google Maps becomes mysterious.
Very mysterious.
So, yes, this is a fun travel question, but it also says a lot about the kind of trip people enjoy, the kind of travel moments they remember, and honestly, the kind of chaos they are willing to accept.
Exactly. Some people want peace, a slow walk, and nobody touching their plan.
And some people want stories, shared food, loud photos, and one small family argument for tradition.
For tradition, yes.
So in today's episode, we're going to explore that question in a calm, honest, and fun way.
We'll talk about solo trips, family trips, the good parts, the difficult parts, and why this choice is not always as simple as it sounds.
And because this is the English Leap podcast, we're doing all of this through English you can really use in real life. This is a B1 to B2 level episode, so the language will be natural, expressive, and a little richer, but still clear and comfortable to follow.
Yes, so please do not worry if you do not understand every single word. Just relax, stay with us, and let your English grow naturally as you listen.
And near the end, we'll also have a lovely word tour with useful words and expressions from today's episode, so stay with us for that too.
And before we jump in, just a quick little invitation. If you enjoy learning English through meaningful and fun conversations like this, please like the episode,
subscribe to the channel,
and share it with a friend who would enjoy this topic too.
And today we also have a simple comment challenge for you.
We'd love to know, would you rather take a solo trip or a family trip, and why?
You can keep your answer short and simple, or you can tell us a little story.
Yes, maybe you choose solo trips because you love freedom.
Or maybe you choose family trips because even the stressful parts become funny later.
Or maybe your honest answer is, family trip, but not for too many days.
Very fair, very human.
And when you write your answer, you are not only practicing English, you are also noticing what kind of travel experience feels right for you.
And that's a lovely place to begin.
You know, Jake, the more I think about it, the harder it becomes to choose.
That sounds simple at first, but honestly, it is not simple at all.
Yes, it sounds like a fun little travel question, but when you really think about it, it becomes much deeper.
Exactly, because a solo trip and a family trip are not just 2 different ways to travel. They give you 2 completely different feelings.
Yes, one gives you space, the other gives you people.
Nicely said.
And I think that is why I often feel torn between the 2.
That's a great phrase. If you are torn between 2 things, it means both choices are pulling you. You want both, so choosing feels difficult.
Yes, that is exactly how I feel. Sometimes I want peace, quiet, and freedom, but sometimes I want noise, food, stories, and the comfort of being with people I love.
So basically, part of you wants to disappear into a beautiful mountain town with a book and coffee,
Yes.
and the other part wants to sit in a noisy hotel room while 3 family members argue about where to eat.
That is strangely accurate.
But it is true. I think this question really shows what kind of emotional need you have at that moment in life.
Yes, sometimes your heart says, please give me silence, and sometimes it says, please do not leave me alone with my thoughts.
That may be the most honest travel advice ever.
It's true, though.
It is.
So, maybe that is the first big difference. A solo trip answers one emotional need, and a family trip answers another. But after that, I think the next difference is very practical. Who controls the day?
Yes, that is where everything changes. What I really like about solo travel is that your time becomes completely your own.
Yes.
You wake up when you want, you eat when you want, you walk where you want, you rest when you want. You do not need a meeting. You do not need permission. You do not need a family vote.
No committee, no discussion, no one saying, "Are you sure?" every 20 minutes.
Exactly.
And that is where solo trips can feel so spontaneous.
Yes, spontaneous means something happens naturally without too much planning. You decide in the moment.
Like seeing a quiet street, feeling curious, and turning into it just because it looks beautiful.
Yes, or walking past a small cafe and thinking, that's it. That's where I'm having breakfast. No debate, no one checking 5 other places first.
That part is lovely.
It really is, and sometimes on a solo trip, your itinerary becomes very loose.
Right. An itinerary is your travel plan. It includes where you will go, what you will do, and sometimes even what time you will do it.
Some people love a very detailed itinerary.
Yes, color-coded, printed, possibly laminated.
Exactly, but on a solo trip, you can also have almost no itinerary at all.
I actually love that. I once had a day like that when I was traveling. I had one place in mind, but on the way there, I saw a small local market. Then I stopped for tea. Then I ended up sitting near the water for almost an hour doing absolutely nothing. And honestly, that became my favorite part of the day.
That sounds beautiful.
It was. Nothing dramatic happened, but the day felt like mine, completely mine.
Yes, that is the power of solo travel. It gives you ownership of your own rhythm.
But at the same time, being free sounds romantic until you remember one thing.
Let me guess. If everything is your choice, everything is also your responsibility.
Yes, exactly.
Suddenly, you are the CEO, the planner, the navigator, and customer support.
And sometimes also the confused tourist with 4% battery.
Yes, that too.
So yes, solo travel gives you freedom, but it also asks something from you. And that leads into another side of it, one that people do not always talk about.
I think one of the best things about solo travel is that it builds confidence in a very real way.
Yes, not the loud kind of confidence. Not, look at me, I'm fearless. More like quiet confidence.
Exactly. Quiet confidence. Because when you travel alone, small problems become your own to solve.
Wrong train, delayed bus, hotel confusion, strange directions, menus you do not understand.
The classic travel package.
Yes.
But every time you solve one of those little problems, something changes inside you.
You start thinking, oh, I can actually handle more than I thought.
Yes, and it is interesting because sometimes the problem itself is not very big, but the feeling after solving it is big.
I remember once I got off at the wrong stop in a place I did not know well. For a few minutes, I felt stressed. I looked around and thought, wonderful, very clever, Anna. But then I asked someone for help, found the right way, and in the end, it was fine.
And later, that little moment probably felt meaningful.
Yes, very meaningful. Not because it was dramatic, but because I did not panic. I handled it.
That is what I mean. Solo travel takes away the training wheels a little.
Yes, suddenly adult life is standing there saying, okay then, show me.
Exactly.
And I think that is why solo trips can stay with people for a long time. They don't only show you new places, they show you new parts of yourself.
Beautifully said.
But confidence is only one side of being alone. Because later in the day, especially in the quiet hours, another feeling can appear.
Yes, solo travel can be peaceful, but sometimes it can also feel isolating.
Right. Isolating means something makes you feel alone in an uncomfortable way. Not peaceful alone, lonely alone.
And I think that is an important difference.
Yes, because during the day, being alone can feel wonderful. You move at your own pace, you notice things more, the world feels quiet in a good way.
But in the evening, the silence can feel different.
Exactly. You look around and see families talking, friends laughing, a couple sharing food, and suddenly your table feels a little too quiet.
At that point, even the waiter starts to feel emotionally important.
That is true.
I think solo travel can almost feel cinematic at first. You think, wow, this is peaceful, this is healing, I am having a deep life moment.
Yes.
And then by the third evening, you are looking at your drink like, well, it's just you and me again.
Poor little glass of juice carrying the whole conversation.
Exactly.
But honestly, I think even that has value, because being alone in that way can teach you something too. It can show you what kind of company you miss, what kind of warmth matters to you.
Yes, it can be uncomfortable, but also honest.
Very honest.
And maybe that is exactly why family trips feel so different. Because with family, you do not usually get silence. You get something else.
Yes, you get sound effects.
Many sound effects.
Family trips are such an interesting mix. They can be sweet, funny, tiring, and chaotic all in one day.
Sometimes all in 1 hour.
Yes, sometimes before breakfast.
I think the biggest truth about family travel is this. It almost always involves compromise.
Yes, a compromise is a middle solution. Nobody gets exactly everything they want, but everyone gives a little so the group can move forward.
Which sounds mature and lovely in theory.
And in reality, it sounds like, okay, today we do your museum, but tomorrow we do my beach.
Exactly.
And sometimes you have to negotiate even the smallest things.
Yes, negotiate means discussing something carefully so people can reach an agreement.
In other words, trying to decide where to eat with 6 hungry people.
That is not negotiation. That is an international crisis.
Honestly, yes.
I remember one family trip where we spent so long choosing a restaurant that by the time we finally sat down, everyone was too tired to enjoy the meal.
That is such a family trip moment.
It really is. One person wants local food, one wants something familiar, one says they are not hungry and then steals food from everyone else.
There's always one.
Always.
But even though that side of family travel can be frustrating, I think it is also strangely human. It shows you how different people move through the world.
Yes, and it shows you that travel with people is never just about the place. It's also about relationships.
Exactly. A family trip is not pure freedom. It's a social experience. It asks you to live with other people's wishes, energy, habits, and moods.
And if you accept that, something deeper starts to appear. Because family travel is not only about dealing with differences, it can also teach you care. I think one of the best things about family trips is that they can make you more considerate.
Right. Considerate means thoughtful about other people's needs and feelings. You do not only think about yourself.
And that really changes the way you travel.
Yes, because on a solo trip, the question is often, what do I feel like doing right now? But on a family trip, the question becomes, what do we need right now?
That's such an important difference.
Maybe one person is tired. Maybe one person needs food. Maybe an older parent needs to sit down. Maybe a child is excited but exhausted at the same time.
Yes, and that is where you start to cater to other people.
Cater to means to provide what someone needs or wants. You adjust things to suit them.
And I think that can be a beautiful part of family travel, even if it is not always easy.
I agree. I remember a trip where the pace became slower because an older family member could not walk too much. At first, I thought, oh no, we'll miss things. But later, I realized the slower moments became the best ones. We sat longer, we talked more, we noticed more.
That's lovely.
Yes, the trip stopped being about doing everything. It became about being together.
That's such a powerful shift, because sometimes what looks like an inconvenience becomes the very thing that gives the trip heart.
Yes, solo travel follows your mood. Family travel trains your heart a little.
That is such a beautiful line.
Thank you.
So then maybe the question is not only which trip is easier or freer, maybe the real question is this: what kind of memory do you want to bring home?
Yes, because solo trips and family trips create very different kinds of memories.
A solo trip often gives you private memories.
Yes, quiet memories, deep ones, the kind that are hard to explain fully to other people.
Like a morning walk, a strange little street, a view that made you stop, a feeling you had but cannot quite put into words.
Exactly. Those memories feel almost like journal pages.
That's a lovely way to say it.
But family trips give you shared stories.
Oh yes, shared stories with very strong details.
Very strong details.
Remember when Dad forgot the charger? Remember when we got lost? Remember when we argued for 40 minutes and then laughed about it later?
Yes, family trips create stories that get repeated for years.
And I think that is their magic.
Because even the messy parts become part of the story. In the moment, they feel annoying. Later, they become the memory everyone loves.
That is so true. A solo trip can change your inner world. A family trip can become part of your family language.
Yes, it gives you moments you can return to together.
So maybe a solo trip asks, who am I when I am alone? And a family trip asks, who are we when we are together?
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
And maybe that is why choosing one winner feels impossible, because they're not trying to give you the same thing.
Yes, I really think the best answer depends on what season of life you are in.
I agree. Sometimes you need freedom, sometimes you need support, sometimes you need quiet, sometimes you need laughter around you.
And maybe the real wisdom is learning when you need which one.
Yes, you do not have to choose solo travel forever or family travel forever. Life changes. You change.
That is why I like the phrase, strike a balance.
Yes, to strike a balance means to find a healthy middle point between two things.
And maybe the healthiest travel life is not choosing one side completely. Maybe it is knowing how to make room for both.
I love that, because a solo trip can feel like a deep breath.
And a family trip can feel like a full dinner table.
Yes, one gives you air, the other gives you warmth.
And honestly, both matter.
So maybe the real question is not which one is better.
Maybe the real question is, right now, do I need peace or do I need people?
Exactly.
And maybe also, do I currently have the energy to negotiate restaurant choices with 7 relatives?
Very important question.
Very important.
So yes, solo trip or family trip, I think both can be beautiful. It just depends on what your heart needs at that moment.
Yes, different trips feed different parts of you.
And maybe the best kind of traveler is not the one who always chooses the same thing,
But the one who understands themselves a little better each time they pack a bag.
I love that.
Me too.
And that feels like the perfect place to pause the discussion and take a closer look at some of the beautiful English from today's episode.
Yes, because we used some really useful words and expressions today, and they are not only good for talking about travel, you can also use them in real life, in conversations, and even when talking about choices, relationships, and daily situations.
So let's slow it down together and step into today's word tour. First, a very useful word for finding a middle ground. Compromise.
Compromise means a middle solution where both sides give up a little, so they can agree. It is not exactly what one person wants and not exactly what the other person wants, but it works for both.
For example, we made a compromise and spent one day sightseeing and one day relaxing by the beach.
Or, on family trips, people often need to compromise about food, timing, and activities. Repeat, compromise.
Compromise. Next, a lovely travel word, spontaneous.
Spontaneous means something happens naturally, without too much planning. It is done in the moment because it feels right at that time.
For example, we made a spontaneous decision to stop in a small town on the way.
Or, solo trips can feel more spontaneous because you do not need to ask anyone before changing your plan. Repeat, spontaneous.
Spontaneous. Next, a very practical travel word, itinerary.
Itinerary means a travel plan. It tells you where you are going, what you are doing, and sometimes even the times and order of activities.
For example, their itinerary was so full that they had almost no time to rest.
Or, I like having a loose itinerary, but not a very strict one. Repeat, itinerary.
Itinerary. Now, a strong word for trying to reach agreement, negotiate.
Negotiate means to discuss something carefully in order to reach an agreement. It often happens when people want different things and need to find a solution.
For example, we had to negotiate where to eat because everyone wanted something different.
Or, traveling in a group sometimes means negotiating even the smallest decisions. Repeat, negotiate.
Negotiate. Next, a very natural phrasal expression, tag along.
Tag along means to go with someone else, usually without leading the plan yourself. You join them and follow along.
For example, my cousin planned the whole weekend, and I was happy to just tag along.
Or, sometimes I do not want to organize everything. I just want to tag along and enjoy the trip. Repeat, tag along.
Tag along. Next, a more emotional word, isolating.
Isolating means something makes you feel alone in an uncomfortable or lonely way. It is more than just being by yourself. It carries a feeling of emotional distance.
For example, the city was beautiful, but eating alone every night started to feel a little isolating.
Or, remote work can feel isolating if you do not speak to people for days. Repeat, isolating.
Isolating. Now, a beautiful word for thinking about other people, considerate.
Considerate means thoughtful about other people's needs, comfort, or feelings. A considerate person does not think only about themselves.
For example, she was very considerate and chose a restaurant that everyone could enjoy.
Or, traveling with family teaches you to be more considerate of different needs and energy levels. Repeat, considerate.
Considerate. Next, a very useful expression for difficult choices. Be torn between.
Be torn between means you can't choose easily between two things because you want both, or because both attract you in different ways.
For example, I was torn between staying in the city and going to the mountains.
Or, she felt torn between traveling alone for freedom and traveling with family for connection. Repeat, be torn between.
Be torn between. Now, a very useful expression for meeting people's needs. Cater to.
Cater to means to provide what someone wants or needs. It often means adjusting something to suit different people.
For example, the hotel catered to families with children by offering larger rooms and quiet spaces.
Or, on family trips, you sometimes have to cater to different ages, tastes, and energy levels. Repeat, cater to.
Cater to. And finally, a lovely expression for finding a healthy middle point. Strike a balance.
Strike a balance means to find the right mix between two different things, so neither side becomes too much.
For example, we tried to strike a balance between sightseeing and rest.
Or, in life, we often need to strike a balance between freedom and togetherness. Repeat, strike a balance.
Strike a balance.
And honestly, that feels like a beautiful final thought for today's episode.
Yes, because maybe the answer is not always solo trip or family trip forever.
But understanding what you need at this moment in your life.
Sometimes you need space, sometimes you need people, and sometimes you just need a trip where nobody is arguing about directions.
Very true.
So we hope today's conversation gave you some useful English, some fresh ideas, and maybe even a little travel inspiration too.
And do not forget our comment challenge. We'd still love to know, would you rather take a solo trip or a family trip, and why?
This is Anna.
And this is Jake.
And you have been listening to the English Leap podcast. Bye!
Your progress doesn't end here. To continue advancing your English skills, click on the next video or explore the additional videos we've thoughtfully selected for you.